Welcome to the Wild Precious Lives podcast. I'm your host today, Jen McAninny. And before I dive into introducing our guest today, I just want to let you know a little reminder again about our sponsor, Living the Change documentary. I've interviewed Antoinette Wilson, who is the filmmaker from this movie, and she is inspiring. She's got a great story to tell. But if you haven't checked it out, go to our bit.ly link, bit.ly/changewpl, and get inspired by people like you and me who are making a difference in the world just by doing small things to make the planet we live on that little bit better. So it's definitely worth checking out. So let me now get into introducing our first guest today. It's Kim Doyal. So Kim Doyal, I have met through the WordPress space, so website development. She's in the US and she's really inspiring. I've chatted to her before and she's got a great story to tell. She was formerly known as the WordPress chick and had a huge following online with that. It's sort of digital marketing. She's an entrepreneur, a coach, an author and a speaker, and has got a fantastic podcast that you should check out called The Kim Doyal Show. And I want to chat to her too about something that's going on at the moment, Just Show Up. I think that's a bit of a catch cry that I want to delve a bit into as well. So without further ado, let's welcome Kim Doyal to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen. I totally love that you guys are doing this and love the episodes I've listened to. So I'm totally honored to be here.
Oh, it's an honor to have you here, Kim. So we've chatted before and I just have been inspired, and I think that's a thing that really resonates with your followers and people that you've been coaching is your passion and your story as well, and your commitment to doing what you're doing. So before we get into what you're actually doing, can you tell me a bit about your journey and how you've got to where you are now?
Yeah, I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes, Jen. I feel like you've heard this so many times, but in 2003, I was widowed. I lost my husband in a car accident. We were young, 32, and our kids were little, 6 and 2. I was working full-time retail management for a great company, but anybody who has ever done that, it's like 60 plus hours a week, plus commuting. I was traveling, and fast forward, I had a little bit of a settlement around his death. And in 2008, I had just enough of a cushion that I was like, screw it, I'm doing this. Life's too short. And I decided, look, I'm all my kids have. So I'd gone to different seminars and had just been introduced to internet marketing. And I've always had this entrepreneurial bent in me. I had opened a scrapbook store way back in 1998. And, I'd done all these different things. And the internet was just this is my thing. And it's funny because I was not technical at all, but I was just committed to making it work. And it organically took on a life of its own. I was just committed to making it work. And here we are 10 years later. I mean, that's the Cliff Notes version for you.
I love it. All right. So lots going on at that time. What gave you, what I'm interested in is, so there's that poem by Robert Frost that says, 2 roads diverged in a wood and I took the road less traveled, and that has made all the difference. How did you find that courage in you to go, okay, well, it's just me now, I'm supporting the kids, but I'm going to go down this path that I want to explore and just see how it goes instead of sticking with a safe job?
Well, it's I always had that thing in me. And even as a little kid, I kind of knew it. And I went through some challenges as a child. I would say when I was 11 years old, it started, but I had 3 major hip surgeries in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. The bone in my hip slipped out of place. I spent 15 months on crutches. And I mean, middle school sucks, right? Adolescence, pre-puberty, that's a hard time as it is. But, you just realize, wow, I'm a lot more tenacious than I thought. And I mean, I would bungee cord my crutches to my bicycle because that was the only type of movement I could do because I couldn't put pressure on my hips while the bones were healing. But I could ride my bike, and it was oh my God, I can be a kid again. And so, it's just, you realize that you're a lot stronger than you think. And I learned that, I think, early on, for what that's worth. And then having sort of, the rug pulled out from under me, Jen, I had tried network marketing. I did some independent recruiting. I did all these things in between. I just knew there was something else I was supposed to do with my life. I have my whole life. And so when life sort of, takes your breath away, you realize it's now or never. And nobody was going to argue with me. It was a lot easier because nobody was going to be like, you need to do this. And trust me, it was one of those things. I don't know if I have told the story, but even with the retail job, I actually got myself fired. Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
Yeah, and I was supposed to get promoted, actually. They told me I was going to get the first district and open it in Northern California, but and it wasn't horrific like what I was doing because I went from a 5-minute commute to a 55-minute commute each way to
Wow.
open a new store for this company. And so it was about a year after my husband had passed away that they asked me to open this new store. Well, about 3 months in, like I kind of had a breakdown, and my therapist was like, "You need to take some time off." I was very angry. I just, so I took like 3 months off and I went back, and it just, my heart was not in it anymore. And to do a 2-hour commute plus a 9 or 10 hour day, my kids were little. So I started paying people out of my pocket to work off the clock because I'm like, I can't put in more time. I just can't, right?
Mm.
So essentially I was giving the company money, but obviously there's legal recourse for that, right? But it was like, I think internally, my therapist has said this. She said, I think you knew you needed a way out and there was no way to justify quitting, right?
Yeah.
And there was a window in between there, Jen, where like, then I got my real estate license and then I tried insurance. I was like, I cannot go back to that other life, but those aren't me either. There's zero and I'm not judging those industries, but it just wasn't in my heart either, So it was a journey, but I just knew I'm like, I cannot go do this. And the traditional life that I thought I was going to have didn't exist anymore. So it was like, okay, what else does this look like? And I was just committed to figuring it out.
And I know you've got a fantastic mum and dad. Were they supportive at this time, or were they saying, no, you've got to stick to a job? How did that go?
Um, they were just sad for me because like I really did love the company I was working for and they had been super supportive. They actually gave me a severance when they had to let me go. Like my boss was crying, like it was a big deal, but no, I just think their heart was breaking for me. Like
Yeah.
it had just been like one challenge after another. And so I don't know, they've always been super supportive. And there were times when I was doing my business, it was like, maybe you should get a job. And I was like, I'll walk away from the house. Like, I don't need this. And so it was like, okay. And there's been ups and downs, but they have always been my biggest champions. I'm super blessed. I could not ask for better parents.
Yeah. Well, that's so important to have that good supportive network going to back you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I love about this is that, some people would say, okay, I've got to stick with a job, but you just knew in yourself that you could do this and you wanted to give it a go. And I think what you said too about, I'll lose my house, I don't care. Like, I think that's the thing. It's that attachment to material stuff. Sure, we've got to have a roof over our head and food, but we don't have to have the best roof over our head. And we can make do with a lot less than we think we can. And I think it sounds like you were prepared to put that on the line, look after your family, but also look after yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, and keep in mind, like I had Social Security benefits for my kids and stuff, but I mean, it wasn't like I ever, and even when I had a settlement around his death, there wasn't like I could retire. I mean, it was okay. Here's some money for school for them, and there was just a little bit of a cushion. But and it's one of those things that even so, fast forward, I've been doing this 10 years, but it's like I see friends who spend 50, 60, 70 hours a week working. I'm like, great. So you work your butt off to pay for stuff that you don't get to use. Like, it's just. You see the insanity in it when you step out of it, right? And like right before this, it's a Friday afternoon here. My great aunt, we just moved her to like a memory care. She's got Alzheimer's. She's doing good, but I'm like, oh, let's go see Mama Mia, right? Like I can do that, right? And those are the moments that matter. And so, and I mean, just the relationship I have with my kids and them knowing like I was here for them every day when they got home after school. And I am not someone to judge career people or parents or any of that piece. The quality of my life when I do, have you ever done that ideal everyday exercise? Like you write out, what is my ideal everyday day? And I'm like, I'm living it. Like I'm good. Like minus suburbia. I'm ready for some cooler weather like we talked about. But I'm like, other than that, it's like my life is really, really good. And so, it's my therapist said to me once, she said, and I don't know that this is based on a statistic, but 80% of the population goes through life unconscious. And we do the things we think we're supposed to do. And, like my son's graduating in a year and he's like, I don't think I want to go to college. I'm like, don't. I'm like, dude, take the next 10 years and figure it out. Like, don't. Like my daughter's pursuing a film career. She's getting all these, I'm like, she's in school, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. Most people would like to do it. It's just so much fear around what other people are going to think or what other people are going to say and responses. But it's kind of like, I don't know, you wouldn't take running lessons from somebody in a wheelchair. And that's not, but it's like, if you haven't lived it, and the truth is all those promised corporate jobs, none of that's guaranteed anymore either.
Yeah, spot on. I love that you just encourage the kids, and I think that's something that hopefully our generation are doing more. I think, our parents would say, "Oh, that's no good. You've got to, what are you going to do for a living, blah blah blah." So I think that's great. And I think if they're going to make mistakes along the way anyway, but that's what life's about, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that's how we learn. That's what I just keep telling my kids. I'm like, that's how you learn. You're going to make mistakes. Ideal, if you don't learn from it, it may take a brick upside the head. I've unfortunately learned things the hard way throughout my life, but I think we all go through those different periods. And I'm like, you get this life once. Why on earth would you spend it doing something just to pay for stuff that you really don't need? I mean, I've scaled back. As soon as I shifted from WordPress and stuff last year, I'm like, all right, I'm going to bootstrap my life because I cannot do work I don't enjoy doing anymore. It's like I would have rather gone and gotten a job than keep doing that. So that tells you, it's like, how did I do this to myself? But yeah, it's most people are afraid to do that, and it's just, I want my kids to live a very conscious life. Like, how does this make me feel? What is the end goal of this? I mean, my daughter's not since high school, she's 21, has had a traditional job. She has podcast clients. She does online support for people. I'm like, go get it, girl. She'll do a PA job. She just did an Uber commercial where she got to be, a PA and stuff. And I'm like, go get it. Like, just go all the way.
That's so cool. I love that. So going back to your WordPress, so you built up, you'd done the hard yards with your business, you were known in the space, you were really successful and had a good reputation as the WordPress chick. So tell me what the impetus was to change that. Why did you think, nah, had enough of this, I want to go in a different direction?
Well, Jen, like I never wanted to do websites. It was like I started my business thinking I was going to be the ebook information millionaire, right? Like everybody else who starts online at some point, like, oh, I could make an ebook and make $10,000 a month. Well, I fell in love with WordPress. It all happened organically, but before I knew it, it was like I never. The bottom line is like I'd rather be the star than the producer, right? Every time I was building sites for people, I'm like, I should be working on my own stuff. I should be building my own stuff. And so it was really neat how it all unfolded though, because then I was going to do a SaaS product. I don't know if you had learned that got shut down like 2 months after it opened. Yeah. Right. And that had been a 1.5-year journey. But in the meantime, so this was kind of end of 2016. I was like, oh, we're going to do this SaaS thing. I'm like, okay, it's time. And so I'd had an outsourcing company. I'm like, it's time to move on. Right. Because I kept thinking that was coming way sooner than it ever actually did. But in that little weird window, when I had the last website client, I had my developers, designers. I literally said, here's all my clients. They were so good to me for like 6 years. I'm like, I keep referring people to them. But I kind of just fell back in love with content marketing and everything around content. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like my sweet spot. I love everything about content. Started a Facebook group and I just had zero attachments to it. And for anybody listening, like when you ask about just show up, it's that whole idea of when you do what you love, the money will follow. It sounds so esoteric, but the thing is I had zero attachments to podcasting, one of the best financial returns ever, because I just wanted to have fun. But I got sponsorships, I got clients, I got coaching clients, web clients, all of that. Then I did, when I had started doing like email marketing, like more consistently, I kind of did a discipline of it. And I just wanted to master the craft of writing that story type email. Increased affiliate sales. And then I launched this Facebook group last summer called Content Creators. And it was like, I just had zero attachment. I'm like, I knew I wanted to monetize it, but I'm like, I'm just going to feel this out and I'm just going to show up every day. I'm committed to, and I have had more product sales because of that group this year than anything probably in the 5 years prior.
Wow.
Because I had no attachment to it.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of, someone when they're desperate for a partner, they really want a boyfriend or a girlfriend and they're so desperate, but it doesn't happen. But then when you let go of it, that's when, something comes out of you and, that's when it happens. It's, it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? If you can go in, first of all, I think the key was knowing that that's your sweet spot. So you had done a lot of, you'd been in the biz for a lot of years. So you'd had some time to work out what you were good at and what you loved. That makes that your sweet spot. And then you've gone, no attachment. Okay, I'm just going to do this because I love it and I'm going to see where it takes me.
Well, that was it. And it's just, and you know how like one thing begets another. And it was simply as I started then talking about it, like people started, oh, you're the content queen. I've only been talking about this for like a year, right? And I'm like, but it goes to show you because you know what it was too, Jen, even with the WordPress chick, it was when I finally stood there and said, well, I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder, but I can help everyday people do this. And so as soon as I owned that, the rest was super easy because I just had to be me. That's all I had to do. So same thing with content. I mean, I really believe everything is content. That's one of my little hashtags because you can like tell a story, connect with people. And it's that raw vulnerability that is always a connection, whether it's being funny or being super heartfelt and truthful about something. You can just be who you are. That is truly the only differentiating factor we have. And so when I took that approach to content, I'm like, oh, I can teach this all day long. Am I going to teach story structure? Probably not. But I can teach you how to pull you into what you do, right? Like you do your voice, you be you. And that's where I've had the most success with everything I do. And because it comes from the heart and I don't have to think, all right, is Google going to like this? Is this SEO? Is this a listicle post? And those things all have their place and I know how to do that. But if I'm not feeling it and I just want to write a rant, that works totally well too.
And I think that's the great thing about this space too, is that you will attract people who resonate with you. And that's not going to be everyone. You know, some people don't like your style. Some people do. So it's about just putting yourself out there, being yourself, just showing up, like you said. And the people who you resonate with, they're really going to resonate with you. And then that's how you build your audience from that.
Absolutely. You know, and the funny thing is, it's like the just show up it's a internal thing as well. Like when I decided I was going to try this daily email, which I'm not doing right now, but it was a commitment to myself. I knew it was crickets the first 30 days because I had not been emailing my list, but I didn't care. I was so proud of myself for sticking with it. And I did like Monday through Friday. I wasn't hitting the weekends, but it was like this huge victory. Like, God, Kim, this takes you 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes a day. What if you did that in this area and in this area? It's that small, consistent action that starts building up. And it's who you become in the process of showing up for yourself. Like you do it for you, right? Like drinking enough water, or like I'm a big juicer. It's like, I may not eat great all the time, but I love my juice. And I know that I've been doing it like 4 years now and it's who'd have thunk, right? So it's that just show up for yourself, which means, you know, even today I was like, my brain, it's just been a full week. It's been a good week. I was like, I just need to check out. And I was really glad I was going to the movies. And then I'm like, I was going to go do something this weekend. I'm like, I need this weekend to myself. I'm going to show up for me, which means I just need to kind of disconnect from people for a couple days.
That's good. How do you do that? Because that's another thing that I'm into. I still struggle with the whole self-care thing. And, you know, like you, I am so busy. I have to make myself sit still. But how do you take some time out, because you are flat out, to look after yourself?
You know, I joke. Do you remember the movie What About Bob? Have you ever seen that?
Yes, love it. Okay. With what's his name?
With
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Yeah. So he follows his therapist on vacation, right? So my friends call me What About Bob because like my therapist retired out of the area and I drive like 3 hours to go see her, right? But I've really done a lot of internal work and I've just learned, and I think specifically as women, as we get older, you get way more in tune with, like, I pay attention to physical sensations, like in my body, like, that didn't feel good, you know, intuitively. And when you can tap into that, like, I just was feeling that today. I'm like, God, I feel off. Like, I need to be off this weekend. And, you know, it's like I kind of had loose plans. I'm not bailing on a friend. But so, like I take a bath every single night without fail. I go to bed. Like I can go a whole weekend without talking to anybody. And it's not because I don't care, but I can show up so much more. Like taking my aunt out today is also for my parents, right? Because I do whatever I can for them, but I have no problem. I turn my phone off. I will binge watch TV. I am reading and constantly consuming content. So that's why I love the movies. Or I will do those little things for me. Like my dogs bring me a ton of joy. Like, okay, I'll take them to the park. But it's one of those things that I realized that I have to do it. Otherwise, I get really resentful. And I'm so one of those people that like, I will jump at people or cut them short if I don't take time for myself, right? And I'm like, hey, I'm a way better parent when I say I love you. I'm just not in the mood to talk. You know, I mean, it works. And again, it's easy for me to say this because I have a 21-year-old away at school, 17-year-old who's got a girlfriend. He's busy with his own life, you know, so my kids don't require my dogs are way more needy than my kids at this point, right? But I don't know. I've learned that, you know, it's all internal. It comes from within. And so I'm constantly doing personal sort of, I don't know, work, whether it's journaling or drawing. I've really gotten into watercolors and it's like, I have to unplug.
Yeah. That's a good one for all of us. And I think as you do get older, you do sort of recognize that, in you more. Like you can see the signs, and yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Well, and the biggest tip I could give anybody listening is to start paying attention to physical sensations in your body with certain reactions, right? So if something makes you feel like I can tell if it's my head, it's in my chest, it's in my gut. Oh, this is fear, this is anger, this is exhaustion, and even self-talk. Like I've gotten so much better. Like I used to be super judgmental, and then I was like, just friggin' knock it off, right? Which is kind of harsh, but I would not say friggin'. I just didn't want to cuss on the show. So, and I remember saying to my therapist, she's like, well, what if you said, oh, sweetie, it's okay. And I was like, oh my God, that feels so lovely, right? And so I remember having a really just stressful week, and it was like the nonsense in my head. And I was like, Kim, you're tired. It's okay. And so I don't look for stories to support the misery. I don't look for the bullshit that we're so used to telling ourselves when stuff's going. I'm like, you're tired. It's okay. You're just tired. So then I'm like, all right, well, I don't need to drill myself with all this right now. So I'm either going to go take a nap. I'm going to go take a bath. I'm going to go watch something on TV. I need to just do something different. And the other thing is, if I can do something for somebody else, if I'm full enough that I just need to change my mindset, I will go do for somebody else because it always gets me out of myself.
Yeah, yep. I find you saying you're a great auntie. My great auntie lives near me as well. And so I just find sometimes you're just tired, but I want to go and see her. And then I just feel so good after I've come out of it. It's, you just, that connection with someone special and you're making the effort, things like that do fill you up as well.
Yeah, it's kind of that no such thing as a selfless good deed, right?
Yeah.
Like you feel that, but I'm like, the 15 minutes home from the theater, 5 times how much she enjoyed it, right? It was Mamma Mia, so we're like singing in the theater too. But it was like, I go to the movies all the time, and I go alone a lot because I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody anyways. But if I can take her, then oh my God, win-win. Who cares?
Exactly.
Right? Why not?
Now, it sounds like you've had that real resilience throughout your life that you've built up as well. Now, you were talking about, I know that you spent a lot of time and effort and put money into the SaaS project you were talking about, and that failed. And well, tell me if I'm wrong, but it didn't work out how you wanted it to. But because I've been listening to your podcast and I see what you've come out of that is just, okay, this is a big learning. Takes me to the next level instead of going, oh my God, I'm going to quit. I'm going to try something different, So tell me a little bit about that experience and what you got out of it.
So, and I don't know how woo-woo you want me to go here, but I'll just lay it all on the line. Okay, I'll go all woo-woo. I'm a big believer in energy. I mean, I was raised in religion. I don't practice any religion. I respect them all. To each his own. I have no judgments. But for me, like it's that like meditation works really well for me. Being in nature works really well for me. Things that make my heart feel full. So for me, I'm watching this whole experience. And again, I kept thinking, and I was partnering. So for anybody listening, I was partnering on a SaaS project. They were the coders. I was marketer. I have zero control over the code, right? So there's that. But I care about him as a human being. I mean, he kind of went dark and went off and did his own thing. But again, I think this is the beauty of this. I just turned 48. I'm like, that's more about him than it's about me. You don't take it personally. But it was all during that time because it kept getting pushed out, Jen. It kept getting pushed out. Oh, 2 more months. Oh, it's going to, and then he got sick in 2017. And then the new year started. Oh, it's supposed to come. And it was like, it just kept dragging on. And I think, I don't know, maybe part of it is that he bit off more than he could chew. I don't know. But I think because I had just started doing the content stuff and I had nothing attached to it, right? So it was like, I really believe that I attracted that totally into my life, the feeling of it, because I was having more fun over here. I was having way more fun. I was finally like, I had people say, it took you this long to just go all in on your own brand. Because there's like, finally you're doing your own thing. And so it was just sort of like, I felt like I came home when I said, okay, I have made amazing friendships and I am so appreciative to the WordPress community in the space, but it's like, this is the next logical step. And so I really feel like I attracted this whole, it's over, closing the chapter on that, go all in with this. Cause I kind of wanted it. I was secretly like, oh God, I didn't realize I was going to have so much fun over here. It's so easy. It's so natural. I don't know. So I really believe that I was like, part of me was super relieved, to be honest with you. And I think when you have an idea for a project or a business and it it takes like 3 times as long as you thought. It's hard to maintain that enthusiasm when you don't have complete control over something. So I'm collaborating on something else with somebody. It's all content related, but I wouldn't be doing it if I couldn't do it all by myself, and I could. There's a big difference. Like I would never do a software program again because I can't go in there and look at the code. I can't go in there and say, what are the milestones on this or that? And the other thing is, like, I really backed into it. Like, well, what do you want your life to look like? And, thinking about the fact that, oh, I can move anywhere I want next year, right? And it's like, do you really want to be tied? Software requires a huge commitment. It's a ton of support, right? I don't ever want offices. I don't want any of that stuff. And so I don't know. It was actually divine. I think the way the whole thing happened. And I got the experience of stepping into software in a sense. And how did that make me feel? I liked the idea of building the brand around it. But when it came down to the core, I was like, oh, I don't really want to do it. And so I tracked it. I am 50% responsible for that completely.
So yeah, you weren't in your sweet spot by the sound of it. And it's almost one of those things of one door opening, one door closing, another door opening. You were sort of already headed on that path anyway.
Yeah. And I think it's, a lot of people, it's just because you can doesn't mean you should all the time. And because I guess I could have gone. I mean, I know enough people that I still believe in the whole theory behind what the software was going to be. I could have gone and looked for another partner and whatnot, but it's a self-responsibility and self-awareness. And I talk about Gary Vee all the time. And that's the biggest thing I love about him is self-awareness. And that's where I'm like, what do you want? You know what, Jen, do you know how nice it is to not ever have to get on my computer at night to put in tasks into project management, or I have to send emails. I never dread my inbox. It's like everything I do now is totally mine. And it's it's pretty awesome. It's like the time lottery in a way, and so it's like, I'll spend longer days sometimes, but it's just because I'm inspired. And then when I crash, I'm only crashing on Kim, and it's cool. And I can nap for 4 hours. It doesn't matter. But I mean, all along that, it's like, I gave up a lot of income. I was like, oh, I'm going to bootstrap this because I kept thinking the software is coming. Now it's like, all right, you better go, girl. You got to get some other stuff going. So, but I did. I mean, I started doing courses and I did a summit and different things have happened this year. I'm like, oh, I've got this. You just have to sell more.
That's so good. So what's something that you'd tell your 16-year-old self?
I think the biggest thing that I would tell my 16-year-old self is to use your voice. Really, I go back and my daughter, from the time has never had a problem, even to an adult, saying, no, thank you, I don't want to do that. Like, I was more the pleaser, like, oh, okay, yep, no problem. And I mean, I'll never forget, we're on a road trip with somebody we knew, sort of, not very well, my kids and I. And this woman was like, oh, my daughter's going to bring her friends over tonight. And my daughter said, you know what? I've been in the car all day. I really don't want to socialize tonight. And I was like, you are a stud. So my 16-year-old self, I'd say, use your voice, girl. Like, you don't need to please everybody. You can be kind. I'm not one of those snarky people. You have to push me. I was going to sneeze. Oh, sneeze. Sorry, that came and went like 3 times. Like, that was awesome. So I just use your voice. I mean, I really believe it. I think there's a way to do that where you have to take care of yourself. You have to honor yourself, because you don't realize, I think, internally how it chips away at you every time you say yes to somebody when you want to say no.
I wish I had known that at 16 too.
Right?
And if I probably knew it, I probably still wouldn't have done it, because I don't know, you need to almost have that self-confidence, but like you said, it needs to be encouraged as well. So yeah, that's a good one.
It's just that. And the other piece, like, trust yourself. Too many times I did things because it was better for somebody else. And had I just simply said, I really want to do this. Like, I'll tell you, even the first programmer I hired, I didn't want to put him on retainer, but the guy I was working with said, let me hire someone for you. And I should have said no, because it caused financial stress in my life. But I was like, oh, I don't want to lose it. And it's like, no.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut. Take one day away, meditate, get away, get quiet with your thoughts, and only go to people who have been or are where you're going for that grounded advice. It's developing that rudder, your own rudder in life is gold.
Yeah. What's something that makes you laugh?
Besides myself, my dogs, my dogs bring me a ton of joy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm a pretty happy, Pollyanna, right? Like I like happy things. My dogs make me laugh. My kids are super witty. They both crack me up. My son mimics me to no end. And it's funny. Like he calls me out because I trip over my words. I get talking so quick. My life is just, the people in my life, the animals in my life is really good. I'm surrounded by witty people, and that's gold. I could not ask for more fun in that simple pleasure, right?
And what about something that makes you cry?
Oh my God. Well, Mamma Mia made me cry, and because, which is funny. This was the second one, and I don't want to do any spoilers, but there is a scene with Meryl Streep where she's singing to her daughter, and it was so moving, and I'm crying because I was thinking about my daughter and I in that situation, right? So it's the people in my life. The thought of anything happening to them or not, like I'll start crying if I go too deep, but I mean, I miss my grandmother still, right? I mean, I had my mom's parents, 2010, my grandmother passed away. And then my grandfather passed away just like 5 years ago. It's like, oh, I miss them. I miss hearing their voices and stuff. And that sounds funny. Like my husband, it's like, I think about him, or I put a picture of him side by side to my son at 17. And I was like, oh my gosh, because my son looks so much more like me, actually. And I was like, wow. So it's just those heartfelt moments with people you love that make me cry. Like I'm a total sucker for all those horrible adoption dog videos on Facebook that I'm like, stop showing me these.
Oh, and the other thing I love about you that we've got in common is you love your 80s and 90s movies, and we've had this conversation before. I've told you that my favourite's Ferris Bueller. And is yours Pretty in Pink or 16 Candles? Is that it?
Close. The Breakfast Club.
Oh,
Demented and sad, but social.
I love it. It's such a good show.
The best. I'm like, what's so funny is like my kids they've got this total interest in like the 80s and stuff too. And they like old music and like Led Zeppelin and the Dead and all that kind of stuff. And it's so funny because they're like, God, were the 80s really that fun? I'm like, yeah, they were. Like high school was fun. Like they really look like the movies. Like that was our life. We didn't have the extent of the drama. We had drama as teenagers, but like we passed notes and we had fun dances, and it was just, yeah, it was a simpler time, but yeah, it was that fun.
I drive my kids crazy because whenever Ferris Bueller's on, I say every word in the whole movie, so no one wants to watch it with me.
Yeah, well, the other thing that I am a bit of a nut about is Harry Potter, right? Like, and my kids make fun of me because I watch like the first 4 over and over and over again. I'm like, well, then it gets a little bit dark and it's a little bit heavy, but it's like, John Williams did the music, right? So like, I love hearing the music. And I mean, there's something about the stories that hits my heart. I don't know. I've got a Disney playlist on Spotify. What does that tell you? I do.
I love it.
Wicked too. I like show tunes.
That's so cool. All right, Kim, for anyone who wants to reach out to you, I know you've got the podcast, which is a business-based podcast, but I love the angle that you approach it from. So that's called The Kim Doyal Show. And how else can people reach out to you?
Just to the website, kimdoyal.com. The link to, if you're a content creator, would love to have you in the Facebook group. It's just content creators. But the website, everything, you can find me there through just kimdoyal.com.
And I'm in the Facebook group, and it's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about, learning more about content creation as well, Kim. So thank you. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to us, Wild Precious Lives, on the podcast, and give us a rating and a review, because that always helps. But I've had such fun today. It's Friday night. Kim's ready to tune off for the weekend, go see a movie, have a bath, and I'm ready to get the day started.
Thanks so much, Jen.
It's been lovely having you, Kim. So thank you very much.